Hello, everyone. So today I'm meeting with Amy and Lena as well. We are the team of ReThinking Climate. We are recording this interview for the Climate Social Forum. So for those following the Climate Social Forum, you know that there are a group of people engaged in different experiences of activism and volunteering for the climate action and for social support. So let's talk a little bit about ReThinking Climate. We'll be telling you a little bit why we do this and answer a few questions and possibly focus on why engagement in this sense is also important and possibly why ReThinking Climate could be an example of this. So yes, Amy and Lena, what is ReThinking Climate?
So ReThinking Climate is sort of our personal learning journey that we've decided to share. The three of us met through an online climate-related training, and Asia sort of proposed the idea to us, which was great. And the three of us live in very different countries around the world. And so it's great that we're a group around the world, but who are coming together with very similar interests and sharing this journey of learning about climate change and sustainability. And we speak to experts in various different fields because we are not necessarily experts, so that we can learn from them and hopefully other people can also learn some interesting stuff.
Exactly, and to shed light on very different angles of people working on on climate related topics, because there is actually quite a lot happening, and a lot of people are taking different actions in their lives, from making sustainability their job, or for working on small scale gardening or reforestation projects in their free time or as volunteers. There's really a lot going on, and we also think it's important to show that because it can be inspiring others and also show other people that it can be possible to take action in your daily life.
Yes, and there is possibly for each one of us a way in which we can do that. Like we're each doing it on our way, and we are setting possibly an example of how differently we're still contributing, at least to the conversation. Again, like Amy said, we're not experts, but we're trying to get there to the point where we can have a little bit of our say in the conversation and put more people in. So the next question could be where we are in this. So where we are, we could also share where we are physically, just out of fun, but also where we are in this project. So currently I'm in Italy, and I think ReThinking Climate is possibly better than what we thought was going to go. So we had expected 3 episodes by the end of the year, and we're up to 8, 9, and we have several that we recorded that we're not publishing until January. So we're ahead of where we're going. For December, for those listening, we are actually having Charity Tuesday, where we interview 3 charities and before Christmas, for Tuesdays before Christmas, in the hope to continue this conversation, but just share what these charities do and hopefully how we can help them. So that's where I think we can continue definitely and expand, improve, but we're definitely better than what we thought we were going to be. So I think that's a plus.
Yeah, so physically I'm in the Western Cape in South Africa, hence why I'm dressed in very different clothing style to the two of them. And yeah, I think what's great so far is where we are in terms of what we've learned as well, because even though what we started about 3 months ago officially, it was a slower start, and then now we've really got going, which is exciting. And we've spoken to a lot of very interesting people. So I've spoken to a writer and someone working in the biomimicry field on rewilding projects. And then Asia has spoken to various experts in different fields, which maybe you can touch on. And it's so cool to see how no matter what field people are working in, whether people have interest in sociology or in engineering or in science. I have a science background. Everyone can get involved in sustainability and somehow make their job and their passions linked to sustainability. So I think we've been able to discuss how individual action is super important, but then also we need policy change and very large scale systemic change. And it's cool to see how everyone fits into this puzzle.
Yeah, certainly. And I think also geographically, so right now I'm physically located in Austria, but I think where we are right now is also that we've already managed to interview people from several different countries. And I think that really adds value because it shows, yes, as Amy said, climate action needs to be a global phenomenon. And, you know, we are getting voices from a lot of different countries to show that this is already the case, which I think is very encouraging.
It is encouraging, and is also maybe giving someone else the idea that you can, whatever field you're in, just add your extra to it. And I think one example is with an interview with Antonio Lopez. So aside from being my former professor, he on his blog, he says he adds the eco in the media literacy. And I think that's very cool. I really enjoyed his classes when I was in college. And it's inspiring to see how he made his old passion of media theory and studying media itself, just he added his own little spin to it. And it's quite also, it shows a lot more. There's so much more that we can study as well, because by adding his, the eco in the media, he opened a whole new chapter of things people just didn't think about, or new information he studied and just provided himself. So I think that's inspiring that we can all sort of do that, which brings me to the next question. Where do we want this project to go? So in my personal case, I wish for this project to become inspiring for somebody else, hopefully, answer those questions I have like hidden back in my head with some experts, just out of curiosity, and which is, I think it's my main driver of this whole project, just out of curiosity, just ask people, would you like to be on this podcast? I'm just curious to what you have to say. Even again, they have different ideas than the general whole concept of climate. I think it's very cool to just go see what they have to say, a little extra than maybe the rest of us. And I hope it can become a stable project, goes on from the years from now, and that again it can expand and create new things. So I'm not sure what, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think this sort of links to the previous one and the current one, but something that I didn't really expect to feel so soon, or maybe at all, is people have really appreciated the work that we've been doing. And I still feel like it's so new and a bit scary to be putting myself out there on the internet. And I've always thought of the internet as quite a cold place with lots of judgment and things like that. And also in a time of COVID where we're not having as much physical interaction and meeting new people, I feel like I've been able to make connections with people who I otherwise would never have thought I could speak to or reach out to. And forcing myself to reach out to these people has been so fulfilling, because people have been like, if you need help with this, or can we support your project in another way? And that's amazing. It feels like something that I appreciate about getting more into the sustainability field is that it feels like there's this sense of care, and people really want to help each other, and we want to work together to support other projects and learn more about other projects. And it's very different from maybe how we're living in COVID, of everyone staying in their little bubbles and more distraction, sorry. Yeah, it feels like so many people are only exposed to their very small circles. And it's amazing to be able to speak to people in industries I had no idea even existed, and to have them say that the work we're doing is great and that they want to support it. So I think going forward, I would like to nurture some of those relationships and see if we can form connections with other groups like the Climate Social Forum, and see if we can help other groups to improve and get help from others, because it is an area where there are a lot of these sorts of similar projects happening. But if we can, rather than have lots of individual ones, create like a larger network, I think that would be very cool.
Yeah, I think going forward, fostering sort of this climate community is certainly a great initiative, and will also really help us to continue the learning journey, because that's what I've really found very insightful now. Everyone has a story to tell and a lot of new angles to shed light on that otherwise, you wouldn't necessarily hear anywhere else or from anyone else. So if you're just having a normal conversation, it might not come up. So I think the podcasts are a great opportunity to continue this learning journey, and also, gain insights on angles you maybe never thought about before.
And I'll make an example with the episode with Bob Gardner, who's like, well, I have this. So for those who didn't listen to the episode, go listen to it. A small hashtag, this is not mad. But with Bob Gardner, he's the owner of a holiday rental apartments, and it's set in Le Marche, which is a region in Italy, and he's originally from the UK. But he has this beautiful middle of the whole mountains and nature. It's beautiful, like small apartments and the whole complex, but he rents out for holidays, like I said. But it's all green. It's all sustainable. Green energy. Also, the domain he uses for the internet, it's made on purpose that it's sustainable. He won prizes for it. But and you would expect, okay, some businesses could be moving towards that direction, but he's doing it full on 100%. He has a small garden himself. He sets an example. He's been vegan for 20 years now, and so it's really beautiful to see that. And unless you really go ask Bob these questions, you maybe would have not known. Although he does a really good job in maybe setting an example, going online and talking about it. But I personally, if I didn't do this online climate training, I wouldn't have met Bob. So I think that's really good, because you get to connect and learn something yourself, and maybe be like, hey, I can actually do that too. Why not have some plants? Like, I don't have a garden, but I could, maybe my weather now, it's not the best. It snowed last week, but again, I could try. Why not? I could even suggest someone else telling me, hey, I do this. I'm like, hey, have you met Bob? Do you know what he does? And I think that's really great, because we can all talk about what we all do. So, and this comes with the last question. So how do we get there? So we all have these ideas, and I think the way we're going to get there is just by keep talking and sharing. And when we share, get to the point of, what did I learn today? And I think, because there's a lot of talking about it, but what I think Rethinking Climate tries to do, or at least what I hope we can all do, is really find just the chip in the whole bowl and be like, okay, this conversation, this is what we did, this is what we can actually share. And when we put it together, we may have answered some questions, actually. So I know about geoengineering, for example, because I've studied it, but maybe somebody else doesn't know about geoengineering. But when you listen to Antonio Lopez's episode, you get to figure out and find out that geoengineering is actually a way humans think technology can save us. But will it work? Will it not work? Did I maybe put someone else's thought in mind and went, okay, they're going to get curious and actually going to research about it, and hopefully that triggers something else as well, where they're going to think about, what am I doing about it? Is there more that I should learn? There's always something that we can learn. So I think that's where I hope we'll be able to do what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think maybe another interpretation of the question is like, how is the work we are hoping to do and are doing currently, how is it going to get us closer to the goal of helping in climate change? And how are we going to get to that point? And I think what's also great about doing something like this, maybe a bit more publicly than I would have thought before, is that it's also a form of accountability for the three of us, is like to make sure that we are continually learning about climate change and doing more things in our day-to-day basis to get towards that goal. So I know for me, in my daily life, I'm looking at other ways that I can make a difference, whether it's, we've had a lot of conversations about diet and the impact of that, and learning more about regenerative agriculture. And it's made me look far more at places in my area which are doing sustainable forms of farming, but also how can I sort of change the route that I'm studying to make sure that I'm closer to a goal of working in the sustainability field. And so maybe if you two also want to touch on how you want to get closer to that goal.
I think for me, the learning journey is very important, but not just the fact that I'm learning, but I think how do I feel after, for example, hearing new insights? So does it make me feel inspired? Can I act on this? How can I act on this? Who could I reach out to who, you know, might also feel inspired by this? So it's just studying the environment from different angles. I think opening the conversation is so important because it can really inspire people to take action. If people are not aware of what's going on, I think it's very hard to take action on it. So certainly, yeah, really fostering this learning journey is what I want to focus on.
Definitely. And also, Amy, I think you're asking a $1 million question of how do we want to do this? Because you two both know that it's been quite a struggle, especially with me now, because I've studied in this field, and I just kind of, like Lena saying, keep learning. Keep learning definitely is the way to go, all the time, every day, always curious, but also curious in the sense that often we will read things and think, is this okay? Like, this is a statement someone's made. I think they're an expert about it. Is this right? So maybe also learning in the sense that I will ask counter questions to, I don't know, politicians who may say this policy is going to work, or Green New Deal, for instance. You know, it's beautiful that the Green New Deal exists, but is it all good? Is it all the way? So I think learning, as in also asking annoying questions, we can say, and be like, no, maybe we can improve this. And also knowing how to myself is a way of learning, because I kind of want to know that I'm not an expert, but by learning, I'm acquiring some sort of understanding, at least, of what the issue is. And why wouldn't, for instance, the Green New Deal all be good? You know, of course, the mission and the objective, it's really nice. Again, what it speaks about, really good. Okay, could we improve it eventually? Maybe in the future. I mean, that's been set on paper now, but of course, it's hypothetical, and it just really helps the idea that we all have to keep learning, and we all can ask annoying questions. Again, like I say, just being like, nope, we can improve this. Let's keep going and just push this forward, because there are so many climate communities now, and that's really good. But we all get, I think, wrapped up with over information. There's too much information out there. So can I know if an information is either right or wrong, whether in sense is also scientifically factual, and if it's not science, it's just an opinion and statement. Why would that be good? Why would be that wrong? Can I learn from it? Can I not learn from it? And I think these are questions we all have to ask and bring forward, because we could all improve within the climate community, because there's so much being done, but sometimes it's hard to see the results. So I think in that sense, yeah.
And I think there's also a lot of different people have different viewpoints on specific issues within the climate movement. And I think it's also important to think about one's own opinion, where one stands in relation to these viewpoints, because one doesn't have to agree with everything, and it's natural that people have different opinions. So I think, yeah, learning can really open one's mind, and maybe as part of that, you can also understand why other people think in a specific way, but understanding that doesn't mean that you also have to agree with something. So I think, yeah, the learning journey is very important. Amy, sorry, I think you still wanted to say something as well.
No, it's all good. I was going to say, I think it's that like critical thinking that we're wanting to develop. And I think it's something that a lot of people, particularly in the like youth climate movement, I think it's one of the best parts of it, is saying that, yes, we aren't necessarily experts who have studied this one topic for a long time, but if you do develop a sense of critical thinking, you can question those things. You can say, yes, you're an expert, but have you thought about this other side of things? Have you thought about how it links to a different idea? And also this thing of young people saying, like, to adults who were meant to, not question or not challenge, being like, I think you've really screwed up, or you've done something that's going to harm our future. I think it's one of the most empowered parts of the youth climate movement, is just saying, like, we're not going to accept this anymore, and we're going to speak out. And it's scary challenging people who are supposed to be superior to you, and who you're supposed to be so polite to. And I think someone like Greta Thunberg really epitomizes that, of challenging these very powerful people. And I think that is hugely inspirational. And I think it's an important part of continuing these conversations, is not saying that you know anything, but saying, like, this is what I've learned, and this is what I feel and believe. And that's a valid thing. And it's important in our future.
And also fostering interdisciplinarity, I think, by bringing different voices together, but also in our thinking by considering these different angles.
Yeah. Again, asking questions. That's what we're doing. We're rethinking climate. We're asking questions like, I'm sorry, okay, and I have a question for you. Why this, why that? And just keep thinking and challenging the system. I think that's also what we could be doing in our own little way. It's challenging the system to maybe in the future also interview bigger people, like you want to put it, like people who are maybe in the political field and who, I don't know, we may have questions for them. Like, okay, so the youth is angry, righteously. What are you doing about it? So, all right, so I think that we've answered these 3 questions. I hope that Rethinking Climate can be, I don't know, maybe a starting point for others. Maybe a interesting podcast for listen for others again, or it can just be informational for others as well. So that's my part of Rethinking Climate. I hope that those listening will find our episodes interesting if they go listen to them. And I personally am very excited to be part of the Climate Social Forum. I don't know if you two want to add anything about it.
Thank you for taking the time to listen. Oh, sorry, Amy. Didn't mean to.
No, I was just going to say also, if there are any people listening who kind of want to get involved or collaborate, we're very open to meeting new people and hearing new voices. And I think something like the Climate Social Forum is perfect for that. So thanks for letting us get involved.
Absolutely.
Please don't be shy and reach out to us, and continue to be inspired and be on your learning journey.
Absolutely. So please contact us if you want, or go check out our pages, social media pages, or and follow the Climate Social Forum. We are very pleased to be invited on. So thank you again.